Hello, everyone. Today's podcast is quite different than what you have seen before at my show. I'm here with Saliha Wazirzada. She's a soul coach. You heard it right, soul coach. Thank you, Saliha, for taking out time and being on my show.
Thank you so much, Rahim, for having me here. It's just really, I think I feel very blessed these days that I get called to different kind of places and spaces where I can talk about what I do, because I think it's very important for people to know that there is a space out there where they can reach out when they feel there is nobody out there for them. So
Yes,
yeah, thank you for
that's
bringing me.
important. Thank you. Let's start with like a common notion that we, in general, everybody I meet or like I know, we spend so much time on our physical well-being, like what to eat, how to act on, what exercises to do to, like if I want to make biceps or these kind of things. But like
Mm,
rarely we talk about soul. It's not a common conversation topic that we just
mm,
come out and we talk about soul or like my soul and your soul. So like
yeah.
I just want to ask like why this matter, why the spirituality or why soul matters.
I think as the more you live this life, I think, and the more experiences you have, so there's nothing to do with age over here. People
Mhm.
get that misconception a lot where it's like you get to a spiritual space or a
Mhm.
spirituality or a spiritual awakening when you come to a
Mhm.
certain age. I think it's
Yes.
nothing to do with that. It's to do with
Mhm.
how many experiences, the kind of experiences, how they affect you, whether they traumatize you or change you or shake you. They
Mhm.
can be at a very younger age, it can be at a middle age, it can be at a very older age.
Mhm.
It's just that time of your life where you've lived enough and you've experienced life to an extent where you understand now that, oh no, like all of this that is happening, but what is this? Who is making this happen? Like I go through, for instance, I went through a lot of things in life and I still came out of them. But when I was going through those
Mhm. Mhm.
excruciating, painful things, I was like, this is it. This is my present.
Yes.
This is how it's always going to be. But I did come out of it. And today I am like a living proof to say I came out of it. But when,
Yes.
as human beings, we forget that there's a greater entity out there,
Mm.
always making sure. So you want to call it universe, you want to call it metaphysics, you want to call it
Yes.
some force out there making sure you're okay.
Mhm.
There is always that happening. So when you get into that observer place,
Mhm.
everything starts making like a shift. So it's that
Aha.
shift.
That's
Mm,
nice. I mean, it's a very interesting perspective, and the way you said like it, like change or like the trauma or shaking up can happen in any age. I mean,
mm,
mostly when we talk about midlife crisis, and I read this book called Five Stages of the Soul, and in
mm,
that book also they talk about this kind of trauma or this like shaking up, and it happens mostly in the in the midlife, but it can happen in any time, and it's important that we talk about it. So like
mm.
if we want to talk about spirituality, what are the common myths people come to you and talk to you about, or like you have faced, or might be like common myths people ask, like is it true or false? So what you have faced?
And certain things like, are you always happy? Are you
Ah,
always
yeah.
peaceful? Do you meditate every day? Like, what time do you meditate? Well, I, I
The
have
secret
structured.
formula for it.
Exactly. It's like, how do you do this? How does spirituality come into your life? And you're like, okay, the way you're saying it makes it look like something very intense I'm doing, because all I'm doing is trying to be a better human. And I don't put myself into this action plan like, oh my God, if I don't achieve this timeline by this date and I don't become spiritual to level 10, then oh my God, I should be angry with myself. No, it doesn't work like that. The way it works for me, in terms of that myth, is that you just try to every day remind yourself. It's a mindset thing where you structure your day in a way where if you find things, because things are bound to come that will stress you, that will make you think, oh my God, you still have stuff in you which you haven't fixed. So that's why, because you lashed at someone or you got angry with your kids or whatever, life is going to show you these places, these spaces, these situations, and then you're going to be like, whoa, who am I? So who am I? It's going to happen every single day. And as a
Yeah, yeah.
spiritually connected person, the journey never stops. I can read something and then go like, wow, where am I? Like, who the hell am I?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
So the myths part is that just be easy on yourself, and every day just work at getting to know yourself better. We are all at different stages, we are all at different
That's
life
true.
levels,
That's true.
and no one can judge anyone, no one can tell anyone. I always want
Yeah.
people to go within and ask the same question with themselves, like, are you peaceful within yourself? Are
Yes.
you happy with yourself? And then yeah, like, whoa, where are we? What dimension? So I'm like, I want you. Yeah. So that's one myth. And one more, because I just spoke a lot about the first myth, is just one more. And that's like, you have to be at a certain level of this learned person level, like, right? Like you would have read these many books and you would have done these many courses to get this degree to become a coach.
Yes.
And for me, yes, for a long time, it was like, if I have to become a coach or some person who's going to help people, because my connotation in my head was one day I'm going to help people, whether it's going to be in Africa or whether it's going to be like in the war-torn areas,
Yeah.
giving
Yeah.
water to people. In my imaginative, extreme imaginative person that I am, space, it was always like this for me, that I need to help people. So when it came forward in life at this age that I am in, or like the more I've lived this life, I understood that you just have to be the people currently with your experiences, what you have experienced. People can just like from that, that's what they want to hear, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is no level to achieve. It's just realizing the experiences, learning from them, doing your homework, so that when somebody else is going through the same circumstances as you, right, you can just give them that little truthful advice, which is not an advice to tell them what to do, but to tell them this is what I did, might work for
Yeah.
you, right? That kind of like, I'm with you, I'm not judging you. So that's how I go about it.
That's nice. Like not judging anyone or like being competitive. You cannot be competitive when you're talking about soul. Everyone has their own journey, I would say, right? Yeah,
Definitely.
perfect. So like, let me ask you like, what's then the difference? Because like then you have to take out your time. So then, what's the difference between self love and being selfish? Because like you are taking out your time, and like people somehow it's called being selfish, that you are taking out your time for yourself, but then you need it to grow for your soul. So how would you distinguish between these two?
Well, in a nutshell, like the way I look at selfishness is that when you go from the lack of consideration for others' welfare, that's where selfishness comes. And it's selfishness. If you look at selfishness first, then you will understand self-love. So it's mainly concerned with one's own personal benefits and pleasure, like where you don't take responsibility for anybody's needs or happiness, and you're just like, I'm going to do whatever, even if it like kills someone or pains someone, or even if I. So the way self-love is done is not an external output of, I'm going to put this person down so I feel better, or like I'm going to tell that person that they hurt me and I'm going to hurt them so bad in return that they remember for the rest of their life, right? It's not a revenge sort of, I'm going to cripple you and go ahead and climb this ladder. It's not very action 3D world that we live in. When I say 3D, and people go like, ooh, what is she talking about? Is it like games, or is it like actually making 3D atmospheres? What is it? Well, I'm not talking about that. We're not talking about that 3D. Let's come back to from the animated world. 3D is a three-dimensional world that we live in, because there are different dimensions that you can interact with when you get into yourself. Let's not get into that. People would gonna get all like spooked out. But coming back to what selfishness is a very like action orientated. I need to do this to this person to go ahead kind of, and then how do I get better? Like people on Instagram or like on social media, they look at, oh, they've got this many followers. How do I get more followers than them? So people like me more. It's very external. Now, what self-love is, it's internal. What it is,
Okay.
it's connecting with your heart space. Because when we come to this world, Rahim, we come as liquid love. That's how we are in our mummy's body. So
That's true,
God, when we are put, like life comes into our form, into an embryo, it's just experiencing love. So whatever lovingly comes to it, if you know, like when because I've had a baby and things like that. So I talk about things a lot like that. And it's very interesting and it's very important to understand where our existence starts from when we are in our mother's tummies. It's because that's when you're getting the food, the water, everything you need. And it's just being done by some entity out there, some force out there. The mother doesn't do it. All she needs to do is just have a positive mindset or those things. I
Yeah.
really believe in
Yeah.
that. It's
That's true.
literally what she eats
Yeah.
and things. It's still the baby, even in children, mothers have malnutrition, their kids are still inside their tummies, they're getting some food. So what the idea is, what they live on is love. So that's what
Yeah.
the heart, when the heart beats, it feels love. When it comes to the world, it wants love. And what happens
Yes.
for me is that whatever kind of parents and atmospheres, beliefs, systems, what we get, which do not resonate with love, that make us feel like, okay, maybe this is how I need to be. So
Yeah.
you struggle
Yeah.
to be you. You're like, okay, my father wants me to, like as a kid growing up, like my father wants me to get these results. I need to get these, we used to have this, report card, things like that, giving to your dad. And I was like, happy with me. So I'm happy with me. My
Yes.
friends are happy that I give them presents on their birthdays. So I'm happy with me. It's a
Yes.
very external thing. And so what you become is something like whatever beliefs, ideas, experiences you have. And you
Yeah.
forget
Yeah.
that inside you is a loving,
Yes.
loving soul that if all of the problems, if you really go into it, wherever somebody hurt you or you hurt them or you did something wrong and you cannot forgive yourself, whatever happens, it happens to that not being able to get inside to that
Yeah.
loving space
Yeah.
that always is forgiving, that is always telling you it comes from God, universe, whatever you want to call it. That force would never want you to be unhappy or feel
Yes.
guilty or feel bad. So when you get to that space within you and you start tapping into it, doing self-reflection, you're like, who am I? Why did that person scream at me? Why did that person be mean to me? Then instead of saying that, you go like, am I mean to myself? Do I think I am?
Ah.
Do I think I'm scream worthy? Everything can be switched into
Yeah.
yourself. And then if you work at that soul level over here, and I always talk about it here because we all have this heart center, and I think we're
Yes.
all connected. We've forgotten that connection.
Mhm.
Human beings, other than liquid love, we need that sense of connection. And without connection, we can, like, people die earlier when they don't have a sense of connection. People in old homes
Yeah.
whose
That's
children
true.
never come to see them, it's basically they feel the lack of connection. So even a phone call makes a
Yes.
difference. You know how they say, write a letter to your
Yes.
grandmother? That would
Yeah.
change their life. And as a teenager, you're like, yeah, their life. I mean, why would they need?
Yeah.
But that one letter on the opposite end for your grandmother would
Yes.
be like everything. So it's
Yes.
getting within yourself and understanding that loving space. And when you understand that loving space, Rahim, what it does is it facilitates you to face things in your life in a better way. The
Yeah. Yeah.
internal work reflects on the external. You attract the right people, you
Yeah.
produce the right things, and when things that do not resonate, you do not behave in the same way you did 5 years ago if
It's
you've been
true.
working at
Yeah.
yourself. So it's not that you become this perfect version where like somebody does something to you and you're like, oh, you're being mean to me, that's all right. Just be mean to me. No, you become more authentic in the sense that you know what to say to that person. You don't just get into the trauma of it. You just don't get into that, okay, this person can talk rudely to me. I will think tomorrow what to say to them. Your voice gets more clearer. You get to know what you think about such
Yeah.
situations. So
Yeah.
in that moment, you can tell that person using your authentic voice as to how you feel and
Nice.
how you want them to perceive you rather than taking those days of like two people not talking to each other and then one day just I'll forgive you, but there's no conversation, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's equipping yourself with the right tools so that when bigger things happen in your life, which is bound to happen, and let's not like, I'm not being morbid here. Like people go like, why do we think about bad things? You know, like in Pakistan they say Allah na kare, you know, like
Yes.
God, God don't say bad things are
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
But isn't it true that when we go, there are good things, and when the good things come, we're like, yeah, good things come. When bad things come, we're like, oh my God, only bad things happen to me. You know, we are
Yeah, that's
wired
true.
like
Yeah.
that. We
Yeah.
go to the negative and we're like, why did this happen? And positive, yeah, well, good things happen.
Good things
Why not?
happen. Yeah.
Good things happen, celebrate. Bad things happen.
Yes.
Hello, bad thing. How do I look at you? Rather than If you want to cry, cry. If I still cry if something hurts me. I still go into the shell. We're like, why is this happening to me? I am not this epic human being. But the way I do it, Rahim, is when I coach, is to tell everyone that I'm just like you. I've been through this. I can
Mhm.
help you like this. I can help you find the space within you, so you don't need me forever.
That's
So
true.
the
Yeah, that's true.
pretty
Yeah.
much what I do with them is to talk to them in a way so they find their inner voice, they
Mm.
find their self-love, they find the journey to start
Nice.
blessing. A lot of people, Rahim, they just don't want to like even understand that why am okay to the concept. Just think about this. When I
Mhm.
told somebody that you need to forgive yourself first, not even knowing anything about their lives, right? They're like, why do I need to forgive myself? Like, what is this? Why should what have I done? What have I done? The concept is just, Rahim, to just say
Yeah.
that to yourself. And when you say that, it's like could be the little things where you took somebody's anger as a double sort of higher intensity than what it was, or where you thought that you were not worthy of like being, the person on stage when you were
Yeah.
in school.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
you
true.
have
Yeah.
we do that to ourselves, the little self sabotage, the self doubt. Even the
Yes.
moment you say that to yourself, Rahim, it's so magical. You start saying that to yourself every day, and then what happens is one day you stop saying, I forgive myself. You just start going into like, I know myself. So whoever says something to I go on stage, people laughing at me, I'll be like, haha, yeah, I know
Yeah. This
myself.
is like okay.
And you
Yeah.
can feel that energy. You can switch that
Yes.
conversation and get them interested rather going like, oh my God, everybody was laughing at me. And just like that.
That's true. Yeah, I think the like the way we see things, the perspective is
Yeah,
quite different, and that's what we want to work with. I believe.
yeah, yeah,
Perfect. Let's talk about like daily spiritual practices. Like before we end this conversation, I wanted to know that in general, like we say, like we have to go to gym every day if you want to do certain type of exercises, or like we want to make certain um, body parts stronger. But like
yeah,
it's one thing to go in gym every day, but then what you
yeah,
do outside of the gym is also important, right? Because like you cannot just eat unhealthy food and just go to
yeah.
gym and think of yourself like, yeah, now my I'm doing right. No, you need to balance. You need to maintain in time inside the gym and outside the gym as well. Like, what are the common in terms of soul? What are the daily common practices people should do or follow to learn more about their soul, or like make it a healthy soul? Let's say.
Yeah, firstly, Rahim, like coming from that soul space, I would say that the soul work is not just by itself. It is to do with also taking care of your mental and your physical.
Mhm.
If you are not if you're physically sluggish and not moving around and just don't care about your body, then that affects your mind. If you don't take care of your mind, if you're not reading the books or whatever mind thing you want to do, right, where you're just keeping yourself mentally active, I don't tell anybody what to do at this point in terms of mental practices, because that will be a too deeper conversation. But I think it's the little things where you remind yourself that the mental, physical, and the soul level is all working in connection. So if you
Okay.
understand that, then you will work at doing a little bit of a work. That what I do is I do a little bit of workout during the week. I try to make it 3 days a week. But then if I'm not doing that, I go for walks. So I try to
Nice.
keep the physical okay. When I don't, I feel it. Like I try to eat the right things. Like, okay, this is the thing called mindful eating that I'm getting into.
Oh,
So
okay.
that I'll put that forward because I think everything else people might have heard about. Mindful eating is knowing what you like to eat, so not
Mhm.
suppressing, like if you like biryani and like you go
I love
like,
it. Yeah.
I'm not going to eat rice because it's carbs and it's this, and when I
Yeah.
do my protein then it doesn't help me. You're like, okay, relax. So the way you do it is like, you're like, I like biryani, I like ice creams, and I like, let's say, chocolate, right? So what you do is like you eat those things. You don't put yourself away from them.
Mhm.
But when you eat that chocolate, you maybe have dark chocolate, but like when you have that chocolate, you make sure when you're having, instead of having those 10 pieces, like I'm going to eat chocolate, and just like, you know how people do that? Or you go like, instead of 10, go 5. Okay, if instead of
Okay.
5, go 2, and when you have those 2 pieces of chocolate, when you're having them, you say, I'm so grateful I have this flavorsome chocolate in my mouth. And this is going to sound too like, too weird when I say like things. It's going to sound like a chocolate ad when I say this. But you know what I'm saying? When you put it in your mouth and you go like, I'm so grateful I can taste such good food. There are people out there who don't have it, but then I have this, and I'm grateful that I have the money that I can afford this, that life has brought me to a place in this stage that I have, that I can enjoy chocolate, that I have taste buds, that I have like, sensations that can feel this chocolate, right? So when
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
doing that and you're thankful, your mind feels that energy from that piece of food so much that you probably don't need that other 5 pieces of chocolate, because
Yes,
you're
yes.
like, you're so happy in that eating of the 2
That
chocolate.
too,
Have
yeah.
you?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's mindful eating like is a very deep thing, and I can go to the definition of it, but just as a layman thing, I understood that I'm gonna still eat the things I love, but I'm gonna cut, of course, if it's somebody's wedding or something, I'm gonna cut down the carbs completely. But it has to be a daily thing, as you said. You can't just say,
Yes.
I'm gonna do gym and then gym finishes, or like when Corona comes and then like, there's no gym, I'm gonna be fat now. We're gonna sit on the couch and watch TV and do Netflix,
Yeah.
maybe. You can't. I don't know. I'm sort of getting into your mind, I feel. And then I've got too many like brothers and things like that, so I get into the boy mind as well. So what happened was then happened as if I'm telling a story. The chocolate part. So if you apply that to anything, like whatever you eat, so your
Mhm.
mom's made biryani, right, for instance, and you just eat like, instead of that whole like full of like whatever this
Two,
plate,
three plates, yeah.
yeah, you when you eating each and every bite, I don't know what amount you take, but eat with every bite, you say, I'm so like, I'm enjoying this. Instead of talking to other person and like this, okay, let's have a competition about finishing the biryani, right? And so really take seconds, because taking seconds in our culture is like, you haven't taken seconds yet. Why? Were you not hungry? Did you not have my food? So you have to educate the other people too, if you're
Yeah.
coming from our culture. It's like, yes, I loved your food, but I also enjoyed eating those 5 bites, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
even
Mm.
having water, say thank you. You will see, Rahim, the difference in your life. Like just
Mm.
before going to bed, this is one practice I would say. Take 2 glasses, and this is going to get like really interesting. And try this, and try to tell your viewers to also do this. Take one glass, fill it with water, the other is empty, right? Take that glass and say out like 3 things that are really not working out for you. Like for me, like my kids don't eat their food,
Mm.
or like my mom always thinks that I need to be more confident,
Yes.
or like, why is the house always so messy? I'm talking about these simple things, because if I go to the deep things where people break their hearts are broken or whatever, it gets too deep. So you say whatever's like those
The
feelings,
first thing
like,
comes to your mind, yeah.
yeah, and you just go like drink, and don't drink that water. So you take that water after you sit that in that water, because water has memory, and that's another story. And this is not
Hmm.
literally happening. This is all the power of belief. It's belief.
Okay.
So to believe, as human beings, we need practices, we need rituals. So you put that water into the empty glass of water, and now in so that glass of water is full of water now, and now you say, my kids are always eating their food. My house is always clean.
Mm.
I'm always happy. And those 3 things that you said no, no, no to, and you say it's happening, it's actually happening. And you have that water. And while having that water, you say thank you, shukr, or whatever you say in the way you say gratitude. And before drinking, as we say Bismillah, which is also remembering and the intention
Yeah.
within us. Basically, if you think about it globally, for any religion, for any people, atheists, whatever, what Bismillah is basically saying, that I start with the intention that whatever I'm going to be having is going to be a blessed thing. So it's blessing, right?
Blessing, yeah.
So it's like a full-on blessing. And when you drink it, you're drinking a glass of water which has that feeling in it, that giving you that feeling, just like we have medicine, right?
Yeah,
They,
yeah.
like you must be knowing that a lot of these they're placebos, like
Yes,
where
placebos, yeah.
like most of the
People get cured,
Panadols,
yeah.
Nurofen, or
Yeah.
whatever we're having,
Yeah.
it's just making us believe like, oh, when you eat this, you feel pain free. Yeah, it's
Yes.
working at that level, but it's our belief too. People who believe the pain relief is not working, it doesn't work for them.
Doesn't
You
work
know,
for them, yeah, yeah. That's
right?
true.
So it's all, we are so powerful, Rahim. We are so powerful. Once you start tapping within yourself, you will see. So do this ritual and tell me how it
Perfect.
goes for
I will try it out for sure. And I ask all the viewers to
you.
try it out, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. So, Celia, before we end our video, how the audience can follow your work or reach out to you? So what are the best mediums?
Yeah, so one of the best ways would be to go on Instagram. My Instagram ID is Untold Story Told, just to make it more complicated. Uh, it's a long one, but it's the only one. There's nobody else by that name, so it's the only unique one. So Untold Story Told. Maybe you can also put it in this
Yes, I
video
will put it in the link in the
link.
comment section below and in the
Yeah.
description.
And what I'm offering now is I've just dived really into soul coaching now. My background, just to let you know, Rahim, was filmmaking.
Yeah, I saw
I
it
am.
on your LinkedIn profile.
I'm still a filmmaker.
Yeah.
I got into podcasting just like yourself during COVID. I think people like us who always have a message to share with the world, or we have this need or desire to connect, it happens for us once we believe in it. And I would say everything is to do with belief. So with my soul coaching, what I'm offering is a 3-month coaching container where I have one-on-one coaching with the client. What we do is we
Nice.
compassionately
Mhm.
go into their stories and understand where the lack is, and give
Mm.
them, equip them, activate with them within them the self love ideas or ways
Nice.
or pathways which will help them to understand their lives better, themselves better,
Mhm.
so that whatever problem they're facing, they can handle it better. So
Mm.
my idea is to take them into that kind of a healing space. It's a
Perfect.
3-month thing I do, and we have also one-on-one conversations. It's all online, so anybody can do it.
Perfect.
And if they want to, they can contact me.
Perfect. I'll ask all the viewers to go on Instagram right now and type Untold Story Told and follow Saliha Wazirzada on Instagram. So thank you, Saliha, for being
Thank
on my
you.
show and taking out time.
Thank you so much, Rahim. It's a pleasure always to be on these platforms, and to connect with somebody new is amazing. And to connect with you has been, I think I felt very comfortable, and that is why all these stories came up. Thank you so much.
Thank
Stay
you.
blessed.
So be
Thank you.
happy and enjoy the surprises of life.
Definitely. Thank you so much.